Hello everybody and welcome to the workshop once again for a Sunday night short. I haven't done anything out in the workshop this week other than a little bit of work on the Morini club bike. Even when I felt like coming out here, it's just been too damn cold. I've just had the fan heater on for an hour out here to take the chill off. I've still got toes going to sleep, and running that fan heater for an hour is the equivalent of running my house for a day, for half a day of normal usage. So even though I kind of can afford it, do that too often and you start to get into the realms of just burning money. Anyway, I've had a couple of eBay purchases turn up this week. I hope to be showing you some inserted cutting tools, but FedEx let me down. That they posted a card through the door and disappeared before I could go down and answer it. So hopefully those will be turning up for e-delivery next week. And I will mention APT, Associated Production Tools. It's an online supplier, and their tool holders, I've shown you some before, but I think they're very good value for money. Their inserts are decently priced, and they gave me exceptional customer service, which I'll try and remember to talk about when the stuff actually turns up. So anyway, let's get over to the bench and look at the couple of things that have turned up from eBay, and I'll talk about a little project that should be of some interest. Okay, the first thing that I bought was this cutter, and this is actually for cutting roller chain sprockets. So if I zoom you in here, you should be able to see the markings on here. So 0.4 inch diameter rollers and 0.625 short pitch, which is the pitch between rollers, the long being between two rollers, so that's an inside and outside section of chain, and that's the equivalent of a 530 or a 520, well, a 500 series chain. And I mean, this only cost me £10 including delivery, and you just see down here we've got 9 to 12 teeth, which limits its usefulness to me at the moment, but you know, if I ever get back into my electric motorcycle project, sometimes you need a big reduction, and the ability to cut a small sprocket would be useful. And we'll go a little wide again. And this is a 14 tooth Morini sprocket, and you can see that the shape is not quite right. It's angled more like that. Let's see if I can get you up. The angle should be more like that, and you can see it's not quite the right shape because it's outside the range for the cutter. You know, you get away with one like that, but it wouldn't wear as well as it might. So I'm on the lookout for some more cutters. There's an auction ending today that, although it doesn't explicitly say so, may well have the right size in it, and they're new old stock. So we'll see what happens there. And I have a little box of inserts, and these are CCMTs, but they're the little 06 size, and part of the order I've got from Associated Production Tools is some boring bars that take this size insert, and there's loads and loads and loads of these inserts on eBay, and if you hunt around and are only prepared to buy the cheap ones, you get cheap ones. and of course Seco's a top quality brand. I was able to, and they're a finishing insert. You know, I was able to look up the specs. So those will, I think that was £20 for the complete box. And when I get back to my compressor project installed in the doghouse outside, I wanted the ability to turn off the air supply and leave the compressor on, so that the tank is always primed and ready to go. So I wanted a motorised ball valve, and I was looking around at the prices, and they were not cheap items. So I took a punt on a Chinese one, and I have to say it looks really nice. It's a good finish on the castings. There's absolutely no hint of any voids in there where it's been machined. The threads are crisp with a good finish. The ball itself looks good, and the Teflon seats both look pretty decent. And this cost just under £22 including delivery, and came in less than a working week. So really quite pleased with that. I bought two, in fact, and I'll either have a secondary one in the air supply, or this may go into my household water supply in place of one of the stopcocks, which is in an inconvenient place under the floor that I'd like to be able to carpet over properly. And it's not the only one, so it wouldn't be critical if it didn't shut off, but to have a remote shutdown for that stopcock, which would be really convenient now if I was going away. I could just flip a switch and turn the water off. Anyway, I'm quite happy with that, and once I get back to it, that will go. And this is a 12 volt system, and they had a number of options with sort of 2-wire, 3-wire, and 5-wire operation. And this is the 5-wire, and well, the instructions are not too bad, but I won't try and show them on camera. Basically, the 2-wire, you reverse the polarity to reverse the motor. The 3-wire, you either supply this pair or this pair, with this being common for forward and reverse. The 5-wire, you reverse the polarity, and the other 3 wires are set to the limit switches, so you get an indication of when the valve is fully open and fully closed, so that you know what's going on. Or I could easily have a push button open and close, and it'll run until it gets the signal that it's hit the limit. Can I talk about this little project idea I've got? This is one of those drill grinding fixtures, and you may recently have seen a video by Halligan 142 comparing the Craftsman version of this with the Drill Doctor. And I've made these work pretty well in the past, but not operating them in the way that the instructions say. I have the lid of the original box, and this is a 60s accessory, I'm not sure if Picador were actually the originators of it. I'm going to zoom you in here and you should be able to read this, I hope. But it talks about how to set the correct extension of the drill, and gives a recommendation of how far the tip of the drill should extend past the end. And really what it comes down to is you adjust the indexing plate, and this one's unfortunately encountered the grinding wheel once too often and needs replacing. If I slacken this and you rotate the drill and it hits the index plate, and you set the extension of the drill, and actually that's not bad, so that the chisel point is horizontal compared to this axis being vertical. Because that's what you want to do. When you sweep this across the wheel, you want it to be cutting that horizontal chisel point. And you've obviously got the backstop and a fine adjustment to set that that extension. Now the mistake that people are making, and it's not really clear from the instructions, is particularly on a badly damaged drill, people will, you know, rough grind one lip, flip it over and grind the other lip, and then they will feed the drill to grind again. Well, when you feed the drill, suddenly, and I have exaggerated this, you've changed the angle of the chisel point. And instead, what you've really got to do, and it's the reason, part of the reason for the long slot in the base, is you should actually be advancing the whole jig into the grinding wheel, and that's a little bit tricky to do. So I'm going to make a setup to do that. Well, here we have one of my spare grinders, and here is the drill grinding accessory, and what we want is some way of advancing this into the wheel. And you could do it with the slotted base, but that's a little bit uncontrolled. So I've seen various setups. People fabricate their own. It doesn't need to be that high tech. I've seen people do it simply with a by having a screw that they can push this forward in a slightly more controlled way. But I just happen to have a spare top slide off a lathe, and this is actually off a Denford Orac CNC machine. And you ask the question, why is there a top slide on a CNC machine? And there's not necessarily a particularly good answer to that. So my plan is to mount that to a baseboard with the grinding jig on top, and obviously we hit a height issue here, so I raided my stockpile and found a couple of bits of box section will actually get us to pretty much the perfect height. So I need to gather up a few more materials and think about exactly how I want to put it together and what I'm going to use as a base plate. But I thought I'd show you the general idea. Now, a number of people have raised concerns about grinding on the side of the wheel, and this is what I call lies to children. You tell children things because you want to keep them safe, you want to keep it simple. And I present a little bit of evidence here. This is my Wolf pedestal grinder, and you'll notice that the original factory tool rests on both sides are designed to allow grinding on the side of the wheel. Now, the amount of load you can put on the side of the wheel is very much less than the load you can put on the periphery. So you've got to do it with some care. Now, given that a beginner grinder is frequently putting too much pressure on the periphery of the wheel, you just tell them, never grind on the side. Just don't do it. Now, later on, you might explain that, yes, you can grind on this, but you've got to, once they're proficient and learn not to shove the tool in too hard, but to let time on the wheel get the job done, and to, you know, dress the wheel so it actually cuts properly, then you can start having them grinding on the side. And the drill grinding fixture, by the nature of how it's used, you're taking very light cuts, and therefore it's no problem at all. And well, I guess you probably wouldn't want to do it on a cheap no-name brand wheel, but any quality, you know, a Norton or whatever, should be perfectly well up to the task. Probably no thinner than ½ an inch. You know, some of the really tiny little, almost toy grinders have got wheels that I really would say are too thin, but on here it's obviously set up for it. And likewise, we've got a decently thick wheel, and we've got enough access for the drill tip to swing there and get the job done in a safe manner.